All right, what's up, guys? So have our second pull day of the week for you here. I could really call it a biceps, rear delts, and back day. Some forearms in there as well too, some abs. That's not quite as catchy. But before I tell you all about that, don't forget to do that YouTube thing and hit that subscribe button, the thumbs up, share with some friends, all that good stuff. Keep helping the channel grow. I appreciate it. So for anybody relatively new here, we have another pull day during the week. That is what I would consider more of a traditional pull day, where we start with back, literally do, I believe, 4 or 5 exercises for back, all straight sets, stuff that I would consider kind of logbook, progressive overload type stuff, and then a little bit of rear delts, a little bit of biceps, basically one movement for each. And then today, because of one, it works for me as well too, but most importantly for Terrence, we really want to prioritize arms as well. In the past, I've had an arm day. In the past, we've had a delt day. But even to give them a little bit more priority, we start this workout with all biceps. So it's basically the first 3 movements or so are biceps. Lots of straight sets. The same thing. We're still trying to logbook and progress those things. And then we do 1 for rear delts. And then from there, we do 2 for back. And so again, in reality, normal person, if you're only having 1 pull day, you wouldn't want to go in that order unless your back is just nuts and your biceps aren't fantastic or whatever. But again, within the context of our split, it makes a lot of sense because basically all we're doing is having a bicep day and then including a little bit more frequency with the other stuff, rear delts and with back stuff, and in a manner where we can recover from it. So again, the only difference between this and when I posted this workout before, you guys will just see a little bit of progression if you're really paying attention. Loads are up a little bit. I've added in a little bit of working volume. So we've gone from the preacher curls to start 2 working sets to 3 working sets. The hammer curl variation, we've gone from 2 working sets to 3 working sets. I've switched up those. You guys will see the fat grips. There's nothing super magical about the fat grips. But again, half the reason for doing that hammer curl is to get some elbow flexors aside from the bicep working. And I like the fatter grip for that for sometimes. And also just to get a little bit of forearm work, some grip work as well in there too. So we get 3 working sets there. And you'll see we did drop sets off of that, supersetting right over to a preacher curl machine. And again, you'll see me move the plates around on there a little bit. Nothing super magical. Again, just because I have the prime stuff, we can move the plates around, basically change the loading pattern, which I like. If nothing else, it's a little bit more just kind of some fancy metabolic work. It's really a mechanical drop set where the first drop set is just moving the load. So basically we really fatigue a specific range of motion as far as elbow flexion is concerned, and then we move all the load to the other side of it. So again, we start with specifically overloading kind of full elbow flexion, and then we switch it to overloading full elbow extension. So that basically that more lengthened position of the bicep. And again, it's just really kind of just a different type of metabolic pump work, and just something because we have it, I'm going to use it and I'm going to do it, and then doing some drop sets from there. And so really the goal of any metabolic pump work just means fancy name for, we're fatigued at that point in time. We've done our stuff that we've logbooked, that we're trying to track, and we're progressing. Peak load is not really an option anymore because of fatigue, but I want to accumulate a lot of reps in a short period of time, still training to failure points. And obviously, just anecdotally, meatheads, bodybuilders have been doing that since the beginning of time. Heavier stuff first, some pump stuff to finish, and now we have plenty of smart people evidence that implies that works as well too. Which is, again, really that's the way that it works. We know something works, and then we kind of test it and see, well, would this work for which population, for how many people, under what conditions? And again, if your recovery is good, I think it's great to incorporate that almost all the time. So then from there, 1 rear delt movement. Again, we went from 2 working sets to 3 working sets there. And then from there, 2 back movements. And we're already at kind of 3 working sets each on those. And again, we do a pullover, we do a rack chin variation, just because they're not very taxing, especially those pullovers first, because we want a little bit more lat work. And obviously it's less systemically taxing and fatiguing than doing a heavy row or a heavy pull down or something like that. So that's the way as well too. I mean, back's a big body part. So if you're trying to train it twice in a week period of time, it'll be tough to basically incorporate deadlift variations or bent over row variations on both days without just being basically too much for you to recover from or negatively affecting like a lower body day. So that's why we picked those movements as well there too. And obviously going from biceps first into back, it's also nice to do a pullover because we're kind of taking the biceps out of it to a certain degree. You wouldn't want that to be the limiting factor. And then from there, just incorporating a little bit of ab work and some forearm work as well too, and just basically trying to be consistent with those. So that is it, the reverse pull day, or the biceps, rear delts, back, forearm, and ab day, which doesn't sound as sexy. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it. Just wanted to give you, again, a kind of a real feel of what this looks like, show you pretty much most of the working sets start to finish. And this is kind of some of the boring stuff where we really make a ton of progress now. Again, Terrence is 11, 12 weeks out, something like that. And so really where his diet's at and his recovery's at, we really have at least, I'd say, another 6+ weeks. I mean, Terrence makes progress pretty far into a prep. So we have 6, maybe upwards of even 8 weeks or so, 9 weeks of still making some decent progress before things start to taper down. In reality, it just happens when it happens. Obviously, it gets to a point where we're just trying to maintain. We maintain and then just hang on to it from there. So hope you guys enjoyed. Until the next one.